Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlock Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson, and it is my absolute pleasure to be here with you guys today. You are in for an absolute treat because I have just spent a little bit of time behind the scenes with my very special guest, who I'm going to introduce you to in just a few short moments. Just recently, and I can tell you that his energy, his enthusiasm for life and for what he does is absolutely infectious. So if you're watching today, that's what you can absolutely walk away with. I know that as you listen to today's show, you listen to what my amazing guest has to say, and you take on board the experiences that he's had and how he has gone about living his life in a very joyful way. You too are going to walk away from today's show feeling very energized and enthusiastic about life, just the way that Mr. Barry Shaw does too. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Barry. So Barry is the ambassador of joy. He is a mental wellness activist, a philanthropist, a multi-award-winning, multi-patented holding entrepreneur. He's a speaker, author, podcaster, former quadriplegic. Now, I'm just going to say that again, former quadriplegic. So hopefully that's made your ears prick up because you'll want to know how the heck did he do that. And he is now currently swimming his way around the world. So I want to say a huge big thank you to Barry for joining me today. I'm super grateful that he's here. And for all of my listeners out there that are in America and around the world, happy Thanksgiving. I am so grateful that you spend your time listening and tuning into the Unlock Show. So I also want to say to you, if you're somebody who has experienced stress, that maybe you're feeling, life is feeling a little bit heavy right now, today's show is really going to help you with that. Because again, this guest that I've got with me, Barry, is going to help you to understand how to actually use that stress to your advantage. How do you take that and turn it into something that actually can propel you forward and fuel all the good things in your life? So that being said, without further ado, let me say a huge warm welcome to Mr. Barry Shaw. Welcome to the show.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. And they're wonderful, Tracy. How can I make a categorical statement that all the thousands and tens of thousands of people that be watching and listening to this show are all good-looking? Because by definition, if they tuned in to Unlock with you, wonderful Tracy, they're always looking for and finding the good. That's the definition of a good-looking person. Looking for and finding the good in life. What a wonderful way to live.
It absolutely is. I mean, I told you guys you're going to just listening to Barry just makes you smile, doesn't it? So I know that there's been some significant things. Like, we're just going to do a little bit of history here, Barry. Let's go back a little way, because I know you've had some significant things that have happened in your life. Being an entrepreneur, multi-award winning, building your businesses up to multiple millions of dollars and then being able to sell those. But then at some point being really, I'm going to say, slammed with something that some people could have been hit down and never have got up. And I alluded to this in the, prelude of the show, that you were hit down and became a paraplegic. So you want to tell everybody a little bit about your history and how you've come to be doing what you're doing today, and what actually happened to you to make you so enthusiastic now about life and sharing all the good things in life to help other people live their life so joyfully.
With pleasure and delight. So let's work with the three fundamentals of life, because when you have these three fundamentals, you will learn how to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that, right, Tracy?
Absolutely.
Are number one, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. Now, in this case, good number two. You go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simplest example, right now this show is being carried over the internet. Tens of thousands of people will be watching and listening, etc. So that's anybody. What does www stand for? Invariably, let's say, has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. But in our world, Tracy, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, WWW stands for What a Wonderful World. And what is a word, right? WHATA.
Yeah.
Hear the opening bars of that song, What a Wonderful World, by Satchmo Louis Armstrong, which has touched billions of people around the planet. What do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you can ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because SMILE is an acronym that stands for Seeing Miracles in Life Every Day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I'll tell you, thank God, after the pandemic, I'm back speaking with people now, crowds and such, people hugging, no mask. And recently I spoke to a group, I was 1,176 people in the audience. I'm talking about the story of Barry Shore and about seeing miracles in life every day. And people raising their hands saying, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours, I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? Do you have food to eat? Do you have a place to sleep? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Every single one of those is a miracle, Tracy. And what's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching this or listening, you didn't. You have an obligation to live life to the full. So let's talk about a story. Imagine, if you can, me standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound, and that evening being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down, quadriplegic. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease which I never heard of the day before, took over my body in a matter of hours, rendered me into complete paralysis. All I could do was communicate by blinking my eyes. 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. I still can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I've helped 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. And it's all because of this one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago. She says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile. Sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? You see, she was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, creating a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel, because it's really about your mindset, right? It's how you think about life. So I'll share with you, when I talk to people in groups and do webinars and such, I talk about shift perspective. Now, I got to tell you, in years and years of doing this, 97.5% of all the people that I talked about shift perspective, they somehow drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. So you're going to be effing careful about your Fs. You got to learn how to shift perspective. And we're talking about just a small thing. In other words, if you're standing up, just move your right foot to the right 6 inches, move your left foot to move your right. You just shifted your perspective. It's that ability to do that. And now you can cause rethinking. Now, I'm going to share with everybody the 6 most important words you could ever utilize, internalize, and leverage in your life. And these 6 words are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will make all the difference in what happens going forward in any difficult, stressful situation. And that's the real key. How do you respond in a stressful situation?
I mean, just that in itself, Barry, what an amazing story. And power of one's mindset, right? To go, I'm going to look at it. One person could say, well, look, I'm in a hospital bed right now. Yesterday I was fine. What the heck is going on? What's wrong with me? Woe is me, pity me, and stayed and wallowed in their own self-pity for, forevermore. But instead of doing that, you chose to like look at things and see the miracles in each and every day, in everyday life. And that simple shift of making sure that you chose to have that mindset has meant that you've been able to go on, being able to get yourself up out of bed, being bedridden, being able to move your body, being able to contribute as you do so significantly to the world, and be able to continue to share this message of joyfulness and positivity to help other people be able to do the same. And I think with that, you just imagine, if I go back to that Louis Armstrong, and I love the fact that you brought that up. And funnily enough, that Louis Armstrong song, What a Wonderful World, was actually my grandfather's favorite song. So whenever I hear that and hear somebody speak of that, it reminds me of him. And to hear that that was his favorite song, because he really truly thought too, what a wonderful world if we look at things in the right way, right? And if you use those, like that smile, that acronym of SMILE, and seeing miracles in everyday life and going a little bit mad and being able to make a difference where we can, life becomes so different. And in fact, I was saying this morning that I've got some good friends staying with me at the moment, and we were talking about how, this whole situation of COVID, how it created almost like this big bubble that people were in, like almost like a volcano ready to erupt, because people's stress levels were going up, and then there was this moment of people thinking, gosh, what's really important to me in life? And when you really start to stop and think about that, a lot of people are busy trying to strive for success, and their measure of success is sometimes way off track. We're trying to aim for things like success is more money, is more things, is getting everything that I want, when in fact, that should be our measurement of success is, how do I become happier? How do I live my life joyfully? Because it's darn short. When you really think about it, it's darn short.
Let's you've touched on some wonderful pieces here. Let's just unpack three things quickly. Number one, this great acronym for joy. The acronym for joy is Journey of You, because you just talked about that. What is joy? The journey of you. Finding how do you become the best you possible, because the world needs you. See, this show, as good as it is, Barry Shaw, great guy. Yeah, very nice. Tracy Wilson, wow, what a person. But this show's not about us. It's about you. You become the best you, because when you're the best you build more bridges of harmony. You create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. I'd like to talk about two things that you mentioned. One is the idea of sharing, and the other is I want to talk about this word called stress.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it. SHARE is a wonderful acronym that stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy. That's what happens when you live your life to the full and you use stress to your advantage. So let's take a look at the word stress. It happens to be that even pre-COVID, stress was one of the most searched for words on the internet. Anything to do with stress. Because guess what? It always existed. And during it even more so. And now after, it's always around, because stress comes, there's only three sources of stress. Always throughout history. Number one, money, either too much or too little. People always laugh when I say too much, but we all know that too much money is a big problem sometimes, right? Too much, too little, money. Number two is relationships, family, friends, and the greatest relationship, most important of all, with oneself. And number three is health, either your own health or somebody very, very close to you that you care about. Those are the three factors that create stress for any human being. How you deal with stress is the key. So let's take a look at the word. Stress is spelled S-T-R-E-S-S, right? Stands for stomach turning reality, enabling self-sabotage. Ah! Do you know what happened?
Mm-hmm.
I lost my job. We might lose the house. The kids are going crazy. My cousin committed suicide. The country's falling apart. The world is on the edge of war. That's how people either do it expressly or
Mm-hmm.
internally. That's how they're feeling. That's stress. Let's take a look another way. The Barry Shore way of looking at stress. Stress, stomach turning reality. Yes, you may have lost your job. You may lose the house. Your cousin did commit suicide. The kids are going crazy. The world is in a very difficult position. Enabling self success. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because how you choose to respond in any given situation will determine your destiny. What do you do when things go awry? What do you do? How do you respond? Do you lash out, or do you think, what can I do to be the best me at this moment and really go mad, go make a difference? How can I find the positive? I'm a good looking person. I'm looking for the good. Where is the good? Where's the benefit? What can I do? And if I can't find it myself, do I have a friend or a family member that can help me? And together we can find it. Find that little piece of goodness. And now the stress enables self success.
Mm-hmm.
You go from one, you talked about the word success. So if you measure SUCCESS and you put a line through those S's so they're only dollar signs, well, okay, that's interesting. But is that going to bring satisfaction to you, to your family, your friends, and all living beings? Maybe not. Maybe what it is you really want is ability to look at yourself and begin to speak in a way that what we call self-talk. And you know as well, better than anybody, Tracy, the most important speech you could ever hear is not from the internet, it's not from TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
it's not from Instagram, it's not from anybody, even Barry Shore and Tracy Wilson. The greatest, most important speech you'll ever hear is self-talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. There are two levels of self. There's the lower self and the higher self. The lower self stands for seeking excitement, losing focus, SOS, shiny object syndrome. What's
Yeah.
next? What are we going to do? Yeah, let's go here. Avoiding the issue of, well, who am I? What am I? It's only three questions in life. Who am I? What am I doing here? And now that I know why I'm here, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
So let's move into the higher self, which means that you're thinking and understanding you're a soul experiencing life fully. And
Mm-hmm.
now self-talk, this kind of talk stands for teaching always love and kindness. When you recognize that you're a soul experiencing life fully, teaching always love and kindness for yourself, now you can get to a position where success becomes a higher definition. I'll give you an example of something, by the way. It's really quite important. So most everybody that's listening has been on an airplane, right? You get on an airplane and all the things happen and you're settling down. And now the people in the front of the plane either run a video or they're showing off. They tell you if there is a change in cabin pressure, something will come down from overhead and you put it on. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you're traveling with a child or someone acting like a child, here's what you do when that pressure mask comes down, put it on you first and then
Mm-hmm.
the other person. Counterintuitive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Intuitive. Wait a minute, I want to help my kid, my 6-year-old. Oh, I've got to. The best way to help is to make sure that you are breathing first and are calmer, and now you can help someone else. That's the genius of self-talk. teaching always love and kindness to oneself. And when you get to
Absolutely.
that's that mass coming down when there's change in cabin pressure. That's stress.
Mm.
Be able to respond, not just react, respond in a positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant way. You do that, now you can have self-success, not self-sabotage.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great example of, and that is something that is always said when you're on an aircraft, take care of yourself first, because let's face it, if you're out of oxygen, you're no good to anybody. So, we have to make sure that we're taking care of oneself. But funnily enough, for many, that often is the last resort, the last thing we do, because that to some would be seen as, well, you're being selfish. You're selfish if you just take care of yourself,
Yeah,
and we start to, yeah, and we've kind of created this myth around being selfish is a bad thing, when in fact you actually have to be that to be the best you possibly can be, to be able to give as much as you can to others and serve at that highest level. And so I think one of the things that I want to say is that, we need to start, and this all comes down to what you're talking about here, is the way in which we think about things, and whether it's things or it's words, we're thinking about them from a different perspective. We're giving them a new meaning. So that meaning of selfishness being, you're not a good person, you only think about yourself, you never do good things for others. We want to flip that on its head and say, well, actually, you do want to be selfish. You do want to take care of self first, so that you can be selfless for yourself and others.
So let's just unpack a few things you said. This happens to be, we're streaming live right now. It's the 22nd of November in the year 22. In a couple of days' time here in the United States of America, it's a remarkably important day, the day called Thanksgiving. And it's truly interesting because, unlike almost every other country in the world, the United States of America was founded on the process of giving thanks to the Creator, to God. The people came to America first, God believing people, and they came with a mission to be a light unto the nations. Okay, the human beings and things happen and people got involved in wars and such. Leave it aside for the moment and just understand that initially it was based upon giving thanks. So what we talk about now is something I call get big. Get big in honor of Thanksgiving Day, because GET stands for generate enthusiastic thanks, and BIG stands for believe in giving. Just like you said, Tracy, believe in giving. You want to become a giver in life. Service is the most important aspect of the human condition. And by the way, if I may make a shameless plug right now, I'd like to offer a free gift to everybody who's listening. May I do that?
Absolutely. We love that.
Okay, free gift. Bum. Go to www, remember what a wonderful world, .barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE.com /ebook. Ebook. So my latest book is called The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy. And it's available for free. Now it sells for $14.95. We have a wonderful couple that is dedicated to giving out 100,000 copies of the book worldwide. So they've underwritten everything. It's completely free. And I urge everybody to get it because it's transformational, not just informational. This is really important. And this goes to what Tracy does with Unlocked. There's lots of information on the internet. Matter of fact, overwhelm, right? I call it IO. It's information overload. It's just too much. What people really want is not the information, they want the transformation. What can I do that's going to help me become the best me so I can become the best being I'm supposed to be on the planet? Well, that's what the book is about. I went through being a quadriplegic to be able to write the book. Okay, that's how I found my good, right? And it's 11 strategies that will help you transform and find those pieces in you that really want to blossom and grow. I'll give you a simple example. And this I learned from my dear friend, Aida, who, when I met her, she was 95. You hear that? So we talked a little bit about the fact that I swim now, but I'll mention that in detail in just a little bit. But suffice it to say that I'm able now to swim. I can barely walk, but I can swim with flotation devices on my legs and paddles on my hands and a snorkel. So I swim. My friend Aida is in the lane next to me, and she's 95 at the time, and she's walking in the water, not on the water. It causes issues in the water. And after a while, we started talking and became friends. And she says, I just love your energy, Barry Shaw. I want to be like you. And I said, Aida, I love you. No, you don't. You want to be you. And she said, okay, fine. What do I do to become best me? She's 95, remember? She's still talking, and she's energetic, and she's doing stuff. And we went through the 11 strategies. I'm going to tell you two things. Number one, I was privileged to sing Happy Birthday to Aida a year ago, October, because she just passed away about 8 months ago, on her 106th birthday. Not only did I sing to her, but when her assistant gave her the phone, she says, hi, Barry, sing me a song. Remember, 106, she remembered my name. I don't do that sometimes. Sing me a song. So I do. I sang, then I sang her happy birthday and such. My point is the following. Of the 11 strategies, the one that Aida likes the most is get uncomfortable. What? I mean, get uncomfortable. Well, let's give an example. We're not talking about walking around with a pebble in your shoe. What we're talking about is learning how to brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed. I learned how to brush my teeth with my left hand. Is it easy? No. It's still doing it. I'm doing it for decades. I still can't do it the same way. But what does it matter? You know what it does? Now you're being conscious when you're brushing your teeth. You are connecting your mind to what you're doing. You're not mindless anymore. You're mindful. So the ability to get uncomfortable in small things enables you to become mindful of what's happening around you. And when you're mindful, now you can become more of you. And it's important to do little things like that. Like I mentioned to people, if you're driving along in a certain route to go to a certain place, and you do the same thing all the time, take a different route once in a while, just because, right? So get uncomfortable enables you to recognize the you in you. How wonderful is that? That was from Aida, my dear friend. By the way, wonderful Tracy, I can't hear you right now. You may have hit a button. Bum, 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 bum. I'm singing while wonderful Tracy is looking for the magic button. And when she does, she'll be back with us. In the meantime, I'm going to urge everybody again, get a free copy of the book, and not just to have it, but to use it. And I'll share with you the most important something you can do in life is to take action. Action is the key to success. There'll be, thank God, many tens of thousands of people listening to the show, and maybe only 2 or 3% will do something. Well, though you 2 or 3%, that's called action. You just defined yourself as a winner. Winners take action. It's all built on this word, 3-letter word, now. Tracy, you back with us?
I think I'm back. Can you hear me now? I just switched mic. I have to learn. I've got this new microphone and I have to just stop touching it, as we're talking. But, the things I was just going to say, that as you were talking about Aida, it also reminded me of your niece, when she said, look, can we change that word smile? Can we change the spelling of it? And that really being about finding the little things in life, but being present and being aware and being mindful of what's going on around you. And often we're too far, we can get ourselves into the state of mind of, I'm always trying to think, 50 million miles ahead, and we forget about what's actually happening in the here and the now and in the moment, and you miss all of the joys of the journey of getting somewhere, and we often forget to do that. And like you say, sometimes it's just simple little things, like doing something a little bit differently, holding the pen in the left hand instead of the right, and trying to do that and building those new neuro pathways in our brain that enable us. And that's one of the things that I think, obviously, if I use those methods, they're one of the tools to longevity in life, is creating those new neuro pathways and being able to constantly exercise not just our body but our mind at the same time, to keep us lively, to keep us sprightly, as we age, as humans on this earth. So,
She did say that to me. She said, "I got to tell you something, Barry." Again, we were together almost 11 years plus. She says, "I got to tell you, I like getting up every day and being alive, but with you around, the reason I'm 106 now is because you helped me." So I don't know if it's true, but the fact that she said it, I'm happy with it. I really want to make mention of a couple of practical things that we can share with people right now that they can do, just as you mentioned about little things that make a huge difference, because it is the mind, and we're creating those new neural pathways. I've been doing this now. I became paralyzed on September 17, 2004. And it's because of the new neural pathways in my mind, in my brain, that enabled me to re-engage and be able to do things like swim. So I'll just tell you very quickly, and then I want to go tell you a couple of practical tips and tools. But for me, swimming, something fascinating happened. So I was, one of my attendants was taking me outside, again, still paralyzed in the first year or so, and put me in the wheelchair, took me outside, and one of my neighbors comes running over and says, "Look, Barry, I heard what happened. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have you up and out of that wheelchair and walking within a year." I said, "Well, I'll listen to anybody who talks like that, right?" And it's great. And he said, "I'll tell you the reason why is because I am the best aquatic therapist in America." Now, how do I know that's true? Because he told me. I love people who express themselves like that with Okay, it didn't happen. I was walking in a year. It didn't matter, because his name is Vince. Vince got me into the pool. He's an aquatic therapist. And with special equipment that they have at the pools and lifting you up, putting you in. And he put flotation devices on my legs, on my belly, and on my arms. And he had 4 people moving my limbs. And almost a year, 3 times a week, just doing that. I'm just protoplasm. But after about a year or so now we're in the second year and such, one day I was able to move my arms over my head. Ah! I moved my right arm, I moved my left arm, and I moved, my whole body moved. And I moved in only about 3 strokes, and I hit my head against the edge of the pool, and it hurt. I said, "Yay!" I was able to turn my body and move the other way. Well, I'm going to make the story short. I didn't stop swimming for 98 minutes, Tracy. 98 minutes without stopping. I swam a mile that day. Now, this is almost over 2 years of being paralyzed and now just emerging. And I said, well, if I could do it once, I could do it again. So I started swimming twice a week, a mile at a time, and then 3 times and 4 times and 5 times. I'm persevering, and 6 times. And then after another year plus, so over almost 3.5 years after being paralyzed, I was able to turn on my belly again with flotation devices and paddles and a snorkel, and I swim a crawl. Well, fast forward, I swim now 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. I've been doing that for more than 14 years. And I have over 8,836 miles under my belt. I'm more than a third of the way around the world, and my goal is to swim around the world. Hello. Whether I do it or not doesn't matter. But I'm 74 chronologically. So the reason I mention everybody is because anybody who says I can't, well, I swim because of the people who say I can't. You can. Now let's do some practical tips and tools that everybody can do and it's going to shake your world in a good way. Ready? Number one, breathe. Breathe. Well, of course I'm breathing, Barry. Hello. Otherwise, I wouldn't be listening. I wouldn't be alive. Yeah, we're not talking about shallow breathing. We're talking about deep tummy breathing. Now, actually, it's called diaphragmatic breathing. But guess what, Tracy? In the years of me teaching this, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people I've taught, 98.7% of all the people I've ever encountered, first of all, can't spell diaphragm and they don't know where it is. So I just say, breathe into your tummy. And you breathe in through your nose, deep into your tummy, and you let it out slowly through your lips. And you do this 4 times. That's it. Just 4 times. In through your nose, out through your lips, 4 times. Conscious, called the conscious loving breath, takes about 94 seconds. You hear this? 94 seconds. And you do it twice per day, once before noon, once afternoon. And do it 11 days in a row. By the 12th day of the practice, you'll be consciously calm and aware. Breathing. It's so important. And you'll learn to use it. You're going to do it twice per day, once before noon, once afternoon, 11 days in a row. By the 12th day, I have a video about it. It works. I've taught hundreds of thousands of people.
So just on that note, Barry, this video that you have, is it possible, like, would we be able to share that with the listeners? So what we'll do is Barry will let me know where to go and get that, and then the show notes, I'll make sure that that's there, because I couldn't agree with him more. Learning to breathe and take those moments to really oxygenate our body calms that nervous system down. And by doing that, if you take from the Unlock Show, as you guys know, every single time we have an Unlock Show, we want you to take away actionable steps. And Barry mentioned this a little bit earlier. Those of you, while I was, fiddling around with my microphone, he was saying, those of you who take action will be the ones who get a result. Information is one thing, but actually taking that information and using it to transform your life in some way, shape, or form is the key to joy and happiness in your life. So take what he's talking about today and start implementing it. That's a very simple thing, something you do each and every day. You breathe, but you're going to learn to use that breath in a way that is going to oxygenate, rejuvenate, and energize your body, so that if you come into a stressful situation, what can you do? You deploy your breath work. You deploy that breath work so that it allows your body to re-regulate itself and bring about some level of calmness. So thanks, Barry, for that. I think that's an awesome first strategy.
Good. Let's do for one more. We have 2 more. We'll do short. Practice gratitude. Well, of course I practice gratitude. I'm very grateful. I practice it every day. Okay, we're going to do it a conscientious way. How do you do it? Say thank you 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously. I'll give you a quick example. Go into your fancy coffee shop. You order your fancy latte. You sit down. Someone brings you. Say thank you. Fine. You go to the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, you sit down, a couple of minutes go by, nobody brings it to you. Go to the counter and say, I'm sorry, we forgot, we'll bring it. Sit down, a couple of minutes, somebody brings it, still say thank you, right? You're walking out of the coffee shop and it's raining out. Somebody holds the door open for you, say thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, and it's raining, somebody slams the door on you. You say thank you. You're in traffic, you're late for an appointment, somebody cuts you off, you say thank you. You get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and network kindness. So practical gratitude 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously. You may say it 30 times, but 3 times consciously and conscientiously. And the third practical tip and tool, learn to love dog poop. Did Barry just say dog poop? Yes. Learn to love dog poop. Dog poop stands for doing of good, power of one person. When you're doing good and you recognize that you have the power to make a difference, one person reaching out to another, to another, to another, one. Pretty soon we will create a tsunami of goodness in the world, Tracy. Nothing stands in the way of doing of good. So when you walk by dog poop from now on, or you're with a friend, you say, "Wow, I love dog poop." Your friend turns and say, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, Tracy had this guy on. He said, learn to love dog poop." And what is that all about? Well, it's called doing of good. Power of one person. You are mad. You make a difference.
Mm. And I think, when I think about the whole reason I created this show and the reason it is called Unlocked is it comes down to that, is about unlocking the best of you, because it's always inside of you. It doesn't matter. Barry and I are here today talking about this, but the reality is you already have the answers. You already have this inside of you. You just have to tune in, tap in, listen to yourself. And when I say listen, it's that you'll be surprised if you start listening to your own self-talk. Take note of what you're actually saying to yourself, and you may then decide that you want to reframe that and re-speak it back to yourself in a very different way. Like Barry said this, at the beginning of today's show, he was talking about the way in which we look at things. It's all about, our perception, and the way that we speak to oneself. And if we can really think about that, be conscious about it, then we can start to reprogram, restart to speak to ourselves in a really kind way. Be grateful and thankful for who you are. That then allows you to use that for the good of others. And I think that's a great way to wrap up today's show. I know Barry's also got a podcast, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about it, because I think if you've enjoyed today's show, if you felt like I did when I first started talking with Barry, just he didn't even need to speak a word. It was just his presence on the screen and the energy that he brought, that I knew he was going to bring to today's show. Then you are going to want to continue to listen to him. And like his friend, would say, I just enjoyed my life. I increased my lifespan because I was around you. And if you want more of that, the place to go is to actually go on over and go to his podcast. And his podcast is The Joy of Living. So you want to head on over to The Joy of Living, download his podcast, and be one of thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners that tune in, 300,000 plus actually, that tune in and listen to Barry's show on the regular. And those are the people, just like you listening to the Unlock show, are people that take action and are starting to transform their lives and transform them to exactly the way that they want them to be. So head on over and download that. He has, and also just listen, if you're a avid podcast listener, or you're even somebody who wants to create their own podcast. I talk about this often, that we need to use our voices for the better, for the betterment of our communities, of this world. Then you want to go and just watch what Barry's doing, because he also has over 3.5 million downloads in just a short 30 months. So go and see what Barry's on about, and take note of the things that he's doing, because if you want to live life like he does, you want to grab a piece of, you want to be eating, breathing, and doing the things that Barry does, so you too can have that level of energy and enthusiasm for life. I want to say thank you so much for being an amazing guest on today's show, Barry.
You do two quick things.
Of course we can.
I want to give you a hug in front of all these
Oh,
thousands
thank
of
you.
people. My second,
Give
and
you a
a
big hug
blessing.
too.
And a blessing, very. So HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. So we'll do it. 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2,
Thank
3.
Yeah. And while I'm at it, I'll give our whole community that listens to the Unlock show, that's a big hug for you guys too, just to say thank you.
Here's our blessing to everybody. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Thank you, wonderful Tracy.
Oh, thank you so much. I would break into song too, but I might hurt quite a few people's ears. So I'll I will hold that for another day. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute joy having you on today's show. I hope that all of you guys who have been listening to today, take these moments, just take a minute to just de-stress, utilize that breath work that Barry speaks about. And I look forward to seeing you guys on another episode of The Unlock Show. So for now, leading up until Christmas, I will let you know if I'm going live also on Fridays, but definitely for live every Wednesday between now and Christmas. But I'm so looking forward to the next few weeks because I've got some really interesting guests coming on the show, just like Barry, and I've got some really cool stuff planned for the new year. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you guys in the coming weeks. So thank you so much for joining us on another episode of The Unlock Show. Look forward to seeing you guys again, 10 a.m. Brisbane time next Wednesday. Until then, go and live your life unlocked because there is just no other way. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Yes.